So marketplaces, when starting out, we all face the chicken, the egg, or kind of cold start problem. So how did you initially solve for that with Papa?
What's funny is my wife's family's religious, so they would say that the chicken came first. That said, I think at the time I didn't know about marketplaces or really have any understanding of how they worked. Um, it really was just natural for us to think about let's just get one person to sign up. And so we really just started with one member and then we paired them with one pal. I will say it was actually quite easy early on, and actually it's something that we've always been able to understand is how to get the supply. I think naturally supply is easier than demand. Just makes sense. You're paying them versus the other one typically has to pay. And so we started off with that, and we actually spent probably way too much time hiring supply, where we ended up losing all the supply because there was no demand. But you don't have to like go too far out with that. It's okay to have one provider or two, or three providers, and maybe you can spend a little bit more time with those people, get them incredibly engaged in the experience, have them kind of feel part of it, whereas they're essentially your early adopter supply network. So really just was one at a time. It started off really slow, couldn't get anyone to sign up. I begged everyone. I literally had no shame. I would go door to door. I would go to senior communities. I would do senior events where I would be the entertainment. And then I would afterwards ask them if they needed caregiving. I would ask my best friends, they weren't that helpful. But ultimately, I did get one user. Her name was Olga. It was my friend Erica's grandma. And every single Tuesday, we had a pal, which was one of these, two or three that we had at the time. These other ones quit. We had like 100, but that's not that useful. And so you really got to think about those elements. And Olga just loved it. Every Tuesday, Olga wanted to get a ride to get her hair done. She was getting blow dried on a consistent time period. And what was nice about Papa was anyone could be a pal if you're nice. I was a pal. I am a pal. Everyone at Papa's a pal. Actually, one of our core values. And so when our one pal wasn't available, I would actually go to do visits in between work. I was actually still working at the time. My cousin would do visits. My other cousin would do visits. My brother refused to do visits, but really kind of all hands on deck to just make sure that that one user we had the best experience ever. And that's kind of how it started.